What's going on YouTube? Byrdman here with another Devastator build. Today we're going to be doing a very fun AP Boulderdash build that also has a lot of great debuffing built into it as well as firepower. It's kind of a jack of all trades. I kind of call it my natural disaster Devastator because it not only uses all our earth-based different abilities and stuff like that, but we also use a couple different things, whether it's like the Wrath of Moloch, Storm Whip, strings of Gauss, stuff like that along with it as well. Now, before I get into the video explaining everything, make sure you're checking out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Byrdman778. I start every single day starting at noon Eastern Standard Time. So stop on by, let's get some viewer runs in, and let's test out some fun builds. Also, make sure you're giving a thumbs up on this video, subscribing to the channel, and maybe becoming a member if you really want to be the cutest patootie out there. Also, make sure you're checking out my Twitter, twitter.com/Byrdman778 for some super subpar tweets and terrible content. Now, let's get right onto the video. Now, like I mentioned before, this is kind of a jack of all trades build, but at the same time, we do like to focus this more into AP power, specifically because of our class tree and what we're going to it with that. But first off, let's talk about what weapons we like to use for this build. First off, one of my main setups, I actually have two different setups weapon-wise for this that really kind of flow well together. But the first one is a Thunderbird with Ultimate Storm Whip and Fortress. Now, a lot of people have been talking about Fortress and how it got changed and everything, but I still think it's a phenomenal perk, purely off the fact that just shots increasing your armor resistance by 5%, stacking to 3 times is really nice, especially for this specific build. Getting higher armor constantly is a huge part of the build, so getting that is really nice, but also the fact that we get that 30% extra damage for 10 seconds is really awesome. Now, we also put on here the Anemoy with Moaning Winds and Radiation Splash. Obviously, this is going to be just a great AP weapon just to do just huge bursts of damage, especially when we're using our debuff with one of the mods that we have on, but know that you can also change this out. One of the other setups I was doing was a Death Shield with Fortress on it, obviously, and then Shadow Comet as well. That Shadow Comet being able to knock down that giant anomaly comet, I mean, that's what it is, from the sky every couple seconds is really nice, good for damage. And then obviously Fortress is helpful as well. But we also have run an Inferno Seed with Wrath of Moloch and Strings of Gauss. Now, the Strings of Gauss is pretty solid just because it's going to do constant just area of effect damage on people. This is really nice because I can focus in on one person to get not only the Wrath of Moloch explosion off, but also not have to worry about everyone else around me. It's just great for those mobbing scenarios. So again, the Inferno Seed with this mod selection, the Death Shield with this mod selection is a really good combo together. And then obviously the Thunderbird with the Anemoy is also even, I would say probably an even better combination. When it comes to our armor, I've obviously transmogged some stuff to kind of have the mystery behind exactly what we have here, but we went with the Death Proof set. First off, on our Death Proof headpiece, we are using Primal Weakness and Despair. We're going to be using Gravity Leap for this build, so being able to inflict Despair and get that ×2 anomaly damage on an enemy is really nice. I was trying this out with Endless Mass for a little bit as well, but unfortunately because of the fact that you're not able to always inflict enemies with Endless Mass, especially captains, elite enemies, and above, kind of just like holds the entire ability back in my opinion. So being able to just use Despair, get a quick cooldown of it, and then use it again on a different target, especially again those elite style characters, captains, and above, is really helpful. But Primal Weakness is really awesome as well, just because lowering resistance on enemies constantly is really nice. We're using Boulderdash literally all the time, so everyone is constantly getting their resistances taken off and taking more damage. On our Death Proof chest piece, we're using Primal Gutting so that we're able to inflict bleed on all of our enemies. Again, constantly using this, we're going to be able to hit enemies with it. But also just the fact that Boulderdash gives you that 65% resistance while you're in the sprint. So this is just really great for running out, inflicting enemies with it, getting some extra damage, obviously, by other perks that we're going to have on this build. But Primal Armor as well, doubling your armor when your skill ends for 7 seconds. That's really nice because of the Death Proof set ability all around. Reduce cooldown of Boulderdash by 90%, increase firepower by 15% of your armor. Getting our armor doubled every 7 seconds or so is essentially going to ensure that our firepower is staying as high as humanly possible and us just getting more damage with those other weapons that we have. On our leg piece, we're using Primal Chain Gun. Again, Great for Boulderdash, being able to constantly inflict weapon damage. Even just activating the skill will immediately give you the 15% for 10 seconds, so that's really nice. But we also do the Tainted Blood on there so that we're doing increased damage to bleeding targets. Everyone that you're attacking should be inflicted with bleed because you should be constantly hitting them with Boulderdash. There's no point in having the Death Proof set without constantly using Boulderdash, so it's really nice, and it kind of helps free up some spots so you're not needing things like Captain Hunter. Everyone's going to, no matter what, take 25% extra damage. I'm using some basic gloves here with Ground Crush and Primal Knuckle Duster just so we're getting more damage on our Earthquake and our Boulderdash. But obviously I wanted to focus certain things with the shards. These ones have Anomaly Power, Close Range Damage, and Cooldown Reduction, so we're just getting a lot of boosts into things that we need there. Again, Anomaly Damage, we need that to be as high as humanly possible. Close Range Damage with the weapons that we're using, and then Cooldown Reduction, just make sure our skills get a faster cooldown. And finally, on the boots, we're using the Seismic Commander Foot piece. I mainly only use this because of the fact that I didn't have any purple boots that had at least the one use of extra Quake there. We obviously put on both the extra Quake and the second Quake on there, just so we have 3 uses of Earthquake at all times. The most optimal thing for you to get for this build would be purple boots with Anomaly Power, Status Power, and Cooldown Reduction, or Close Range Damage also works in there, but I would say that Anomaly Power and the Cooldown Reduction are a no matter what. But again, I just wasn't able to find them. These still work just fine for me because I'm constantly using skills. The Status Power is super helpful as well, and health, I guess we're not too mad about that, but at the same time, if we want to min-max optimize the most, Anomaly Damage is pinnacle. Obviously for this, we're using Earthquake, Gravity Leap, and Boulderdash. All of these are just really great in general, just for the fact as well, they all have pretty short cooldowns on their own, so we're able just to flow through all of these pretty fast. And finally, in our skill tree, let's talk about what we have here. First off, we're going to go up the tree a little bit. One use of Havoc for extra weapon damage, one use of Armor Piercing for armor piercing damage, Brawler for that close range damage, but we mainly want to go into these 2 abilities right here. Perpetual Motion, want to make sure that our Gravity Leap and our Boulderdash have a faster cooldown, and then into the Fray, making sure that we're constantly having huge damage mitigation when using those 2 abilities. The stacks as well, so we're pretty unkillable in this most of the time. You definitely want to make sure you are still inflicting bleed on enemies because of the fact that inflicting that will inflict a status power onto them, and status power will help your skill life leech, making sure that you are staying alive as much as humanly possible. Going into the bottom part of the tree, we are going to go into all these anomaly reservoirs throughout the tree for that 50% extra boost. We're going to go into both these endless tremors for a total of 30% cooldown on our Earthquake. We also have another perpetual motion right here as well. I decided to go into anomaly bullets because we're obviously going to have pretty high anomaly power, which is then going to transfer into firepower, making this just a really great hybrid build. One into Executioner, increased damage by 20% against enemies below 30% health, essentially ensuring that whenever enemies reach that point, we are going to smack the crap out of them. One into Rejuvenation, getting us that skill life leech that we need for the tree, ensuring that whenever we bleed somebody, we're going to get that health back for ourselves. Protected by the Anomaly, increased our armor by 40% of our Anomaly power. So again, having high Anomaly means we have higher armor, which then is pushed into our Death Proof set, giving us higher firepower. Again, these synergies with this tree and these different armor pieces are really nice because it's essentially constantly making sure that we are staying high as humanly possible with damage. Skilled Sentry, increased armor by 20% and resistances by 20% for 10 seconds when your skill ends. Again, boosting our armor as much as possible. I went to a little bit of pure anomaly resistance piercing. You probably could go down to Bloodbath if you wanted to, but I just like this just to, again, get a little bit of that into the tree. And then finally, Earth's Heritage, increase seismic skills damage by 50%, making sure that our Earthquake is doing as much damage as possible. Thank you so much for stopping by this video and checking it out. I had a lot of fun time working with this because this was a build that I worked with the community while we were streaming to make. Saxon Vids was probably like one of the best influences for this build. Homie in my chat, I really appreciate you, man. I know you're watching right now, but it was really awesome just to kind of get everyone's opinion on this, put it together, and actually make a very efficient build. Probably going to be using this on my channel for the next couple days just because I like the flow, how it feels. We're not just going into just firepower or just anomaly. It's, again, a great hybrid build in general, so we really like it. But guys, thank you so much for stopping by this video. Make sure you're checking out my Twitch channel. Make sure you're giving a thumbs up, a sub to the channel as well over here on YouTube, and then follow me over on Twitter, twitter.com/Byrdman778. I hope you guys have a great night, day, whatever it may be.